Shakur Stevenson, a hell of a fighter. Devin Haney, a hell of a fighter, right? Mm-hmm. But guess what? If Top Rank has Devin Haney and they got Shakur Stevens, then they need to fight each other. Don't worry about Tank. Remember, everybody's saying Tank ain't doing, he's not this, he's not that, and Tank don't have this belt, he don't have that belt, different things. Well, guess what? If that's true, then guess what? Don't worry about Tank. Let Tank continue to do what Tank doing.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So what you just heard was the voice of retired, legendary, iconic Hall of Fame superstar boxer Floyd Money Mayweather Jr., the man known as Money, 50-0, turned promoter and founder of Mayweather Promotions. He promotes undefeated 3-division world champion superstar boxer Gervonta Tank Davis, who is 27 wins, no loss and no draw, 25 big wins by way of knockout. He is 27 years of age, 5'5" with a 67-inch arm reach. With that said, Floyd Mayweather, he weighed in on his fighter, Gervonta Tank Davis, and the possibility of him fighting undefeated, undisputed, lightweight world champion superstar boxer Devin the Dream Haney. Devin Haney is 28 wins, no losses, no draw, 15 wins by way of knockout. He is 23 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm. He's coming off of the biggest victory and performance of his career as he went to Australia June 4th in the United States, June 5th in Australia, and he took on former unified lightweight world champion Australian star boxer George Kambosos Jr., who is now 20 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 10 wins by way of knockout, 28 years of age, 5'8", 5'9" with a 68-inch arm reach. And Devin Haney, he absolutely put on a dazzling performance, and he dominated, pitched the shutout, won every single round against George Kambosos Jr. to become undisputed. So with that said, leading up into Gervonta Tank Davis's last fight with fellow stablemate Mayweather Promotions fighter in lightweight title contender star boxer Rolando Rolly Romero, which took place May 28th at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. And Gervonta Tank Davis, he brutally knocked out Rolando Rolly Romero in the 6th round of that fight, as I predicted. But not only did he do that, he reportedly sold 350 to 400,000 pay-per-view buys, and he also did the biggest live boxing gate in the Barclays Center with a gate of $5 million. So no doubt, Gervonta Tank Davis is viewed as the cash cow from junior welterweight on down. Now, with that said, leading up into that fight, Gervonta Tank Davis, he called out Devin Haney, okay? He was featured on Brian Custer's Last Stand podcast, in which he was asked about the comments that Gervonta Tank Davis, was reporting that he was with his last fight with Mayweather Promotions and he wanted to leave. And so Devin Haney was asked about, Gervonta Tank Davis leaving Mayweather Promotions, and Devin Haney, he responded by saying, if he's going to leave Mayweather Promotions and still not fight the big fights that everybody wants to see, or the big fights that he should be fighting, then he might as well go ahead and stay with Mayweather Promotions, okay? Gervonta Tank Davis didn't take too kind to that, in which he replied by he does a lot of talking. Devin Haney is an email champion. That's never happened in the history of the sport of boxing. And he stated that, I want to fight him. He wins his fight next week. They fought a week apart. He said he wins his fight next week, then I want to fight him. That's who I want to fight next. So obviously Devin Haney, he was asked about Gervonta Tank Davis' comments, but Devin Haney, he stated that he was going to focus on his fight with George Kambosos, then he'll address it afterwards. In which afterwards, Devin Haney made it abundantly clear he wants to fight Gervonta Tank Davis, okay? Devin Haney, to get the fight with George Kambosos, the Legacy Undisputed Showdown, he had to agree to a multi-fight deal and contract with legendary promoter, Top Rank CEO Bob Arum, ESPN, and Top Rank. and which he did. Okay, and so this is why Floyd Mayweather is alluding to a massive showdown in which Floyd Mayweather is saying that Top Rank and Bob Arum, they have, the best two fights, like everybody, the best two fighters in the lower weight classes, like everybody's saying, not named Gervonta Tank Davis, then they may well go ahead and fight. And he's referring to Devin Haney facing off against undefeated two-division world champion, who currently is the WBO, WBC super featherweight world champion, Olympic silver medalist, superstar boxer Shakur Stevenson. Okay, so he's stating that Shakur Stevenson, who is now 18 wins, no losses, no draw. Shakur Stevenson has 9 wins by way of knockout. He is 24 years of age, 5'8" with a 68-inch arm reach. So he's stating that Shakur Stevenson, who's coming off the biggest win of his career, as he defeated two-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Oscar Valdez, and he pitched a shutout in the biggest fight of his career. He arguably won every round against Oscar Valdez as well. So, Floyd Mayweather saying that Top Rank has these big fights. They have the two best fighters from junior welterweight on down. Then they may as well go ahead and make the fight between them two and stop worrying about Gervonta Tank Davis. Okay. Now the problem is with this is that Gervonta Tank Davis fights at 135. Okay, he fights in the same weight class that Devin Haney fights in. Shakur Stevenson fights at super featherweight. He fights at 130 or junior lightweight. Okay, he doesn't fight at 135. And Shakur Stevenson is looking to become unified once again, or at least, at the very least, become undisputed. Now he did state that he is willing to move up to 135 sooner rather than later, but his focus is on becoming unified or undisputed at super featherweight at 130. Okay, Devin Haney is already at 135 with Gervonta Tank Davis, so that's where the problem lies. Okay, and he's saying that if they're the best two fighters, then they should fight each other. Well, Shakur Stevenson also had a spat with Gervonta Tank Davis, in which Shakur Stevenson, he made some comments on social media about Gervonta Tank Davis, and Gervonta Tank Davis, he responded by saying, I think in my next fight, I'm going back down to 130, and I'm going to challenge Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson was saying, let's make it happen. Don't let the promoter stand in the way. Okay. And then afterwards, after Gervonta Tank Davis's fight, he stated that, he's most comfortable at 135 and that he's not going to move down to 130. Okay. But again, like I stated, Devin Haney fights at 135. Gervonta Tank Davis don't have an opponent. Gervonta Tank Davis fights at 135. So to make Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney happen next, okay, that's asking Shakur to come up and wait in his very next fight and immediately fight Devin Haney. Okay, so that's just not realistic. So he's saying that Top Rank should put that fight on. Okay, and again, I think that Gervonta Tank Davis saying that he wanted to fight Devin Haney next. Well, that's the fight that they should be looking to make. Now, we know Devin Haney has a situation where he had to agree to a rematch clause with George Kambosos for the titles, okay? But he can vacate the titles because just like Shakur, Floyd Mayweather stated in the same interview, he stated that if Gervonta Tank Davis fights and beats Devin Haney, the first thing he's going to tell him is to vacate 3 of those belts, get rid of those sanction fees. And I wholeheartedly agree with Floyd Mayweather. I wish Devin Haney at this point vacate the belts. He had to pay 12% of his $3 million purse, which saw it being about $360,000 in sanction fees that Devin Haney had to pay. Okay. Which is ridiculous to say the very least. Okay, so I'm with Floyd Mayweather when he says that if Devin Haney and Gervonta Tank Davis did fight, he would tell him to vacate 3 of those belts. Okay, now the thing about it is Gervonta Tank Davis, he stated that he didn't want to fight for the belt. So the rematch clause with George Kambosos Jr. can easily be maneuvered around because Devin Haney could vacate the belts. He could vacate the belts because Gervonta Tank Davis and Floyd Mayweather are not interested in fighting for those belts. So he can go ahead and vacate the belts, and then he could fight Gervonta Tank Davis without the belts, okay? Or, they could fight at 140. Gervonta Tank Davis fights at 130, 135, and 140. So he could easily fight at 140. So this is a very makeable fight, opposed to Devin Haney fighting Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson fights at 130. So let's see how this all unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
This is Amanda, the Real Deal Serrano, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.